All right, here we are, guys. Good morning. Good morning. It is 7:13 in the morning. Good morning from Houston, Texas. How you guys doing this morning? I am here today. Again, we got import export data. I think no. Wait, we have. Look at my black eye, guys. We got housing starts, building permits, consumer sentiment today. So we do have some stuff. Not a huge day though, but we still got some stuff to cover. Look at my black eye, guys. Look at this thing. Can y'all see that? Look at that. Ugh. Jiu-jitsu, man. Tough sport, bro. Honestly, I was a spazzy white belt for a long time. I feel like I'm finally calming down in my spazziness. But, one of my main training partners, this younger guy, really good dude, really skilled, honestly. I mean, he's the guy that tapped me once last week and celebrated. Well, he accidentally kicked me in the face yesterday, and now I got a big old shiner. It's all right. I look tough. That's all I'm saying. I look tough. Anyways, Nvidia flying up yesterday. Going to stocks now. Nvidia flied up yesterday. All the way back to the 120s, which is shocking. Tesla all the way back to 213s. We had one of the biggest green bullish days yesterday that we've seen in a long time. Like look at these numbers yesterday, man. Just huge movements in stocks. Huge movements. Yeah, definitely top 3 best eyes in the world right now. Yeah, I fell down some stairs. That's right. No, he's only tapped me once. I've probably tapped him like 40, 50 times, right? Like really, maybe like 30 times I've probably tapped him. Good guy. That's how it goes. I'm getting close to my blue belt, and he is still a 1-stripe white belt. So like he's gonna lose most of the time, and that's all right. He lost yesterday, but good dude. He'll be pretty good, I think, as he gets better. But right now he's still a little spazzy, and so yeah, he'll be all right. All right. Oh wait, my mic's not plugged in. This is what it is. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I was about to go the whole day. There we go. That should be much better. Better mic. Yeah, I mean, it's not a rematch. I roll with him every day that he's there. Like, he's my main training partner, one of them. I probably have like 5 or 6 dudes that, like, every time we're both there at the same time, we kind of link up and spar with each other. And so, yeah, I mean, we'll spar again. There's no bad feelings in it. I laughed after it happened, so it's not like he's not. I mean, it was an accident, so it's not like yeah, it was an accident. I had him in side control, and he tried to do. I can't remember what submission it is. It's like a rolling leg collar choke. I can't remember what it's called in a gi. But when he threw his legs up to try to do it, he accidentally whacked me in my eye. Which happens. It happens. Anyways, yeah. Honestly, the market is up crazy amounts here. Like, look at Nvidia, guys. What a run. Yesterday, this morning, up big. Look at Tesla. Tesla all the way back up to almost 215. Look at the SPY. The SPY all the way up to 552s. Here's the Q. Q is up big too, up to 475s. Strong. What did you say? What do you mean? What did I say? Yeah, I'm back. Audio's good? Is the audio back? Yeah, Fridays are fun. A lot of the time we'll get choppiness, but today, we do have building permits, housing starts, consumer sentiment. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so the audio should be better now, right? Hey, what's up, Beach? I personally see NVIDIA around 140s. Yeah, we're talking about it. Honestly, it's really weird. So we were talking with everybody before the stream started about Goolsby and about his quotes. Toss, Thinkorswim, is putting it out there like Goolsby just said the recession prediction quote. But apparently it was 2 days ago when I do a Google search. You got to ask, why are they just now throwing this out there like he just said it? It's super strange. You know, everybody always, like, rookies to the market, I would say, are the biggest ones that overpredict crashes, right? Like, if you get too wrapped up, like, I think some of it's actually, like, religious bias as well, right? So, like, in this is a little bit of a slippery slope to talk about, but, like, the end of the world and Armageddon is sometimes predicted in religious texts, right? And so if you're really religious, you might actually like want that to happen, you know, and one of the signs might be a stock market crash, I would say. And so I think there's a lot of bias towards stock market crashes. I think a lot of people over predict stock market crashes. And I think, you know, an example of this is like here, right? Like right here. You know, this big major correction that you saw here, everybody was yelling the market was going to crash here. And I say this every day, I'll say it again. Everybody was screaming, yelling the market was going to crash, right? And ultimately, like, it never did. And this was one of the best times to buy, you know? And again, a lot of big Fed members and experts were coming out saying the market was looking weak and everything was going to be bad again. And again, in hindsight, we did 24% last year in 2023, 24%. And so if you get too stuck on predicting crashes, especially if you don't really understand things as well, like you got a lot of people that don't understand economics telling everybody we're in a recession. You got a lot of people that don't understand the stock market telling everybody we're crashing, you know, or we're going to crash every other week. And maybe we do, right? Like, I'm not here to say we don't, but I think that this big rebound that we've seen has shown that we're not there now. At least we're not there now. But again, Goolsby coming out saying, like, again, the other weird thing is that, again, they're putting out these Fed members saying, like, these things, they said this 2 days ago, but they're putting it out there like they just said it, which is odd to me. You know, I can't even find it now, but I posted it this morning. Goolsby said leading indicators of recessions are flashing. He also said that when labor markets start to turn, it tends to worsen quickly. And they acted like he just said it, but again, this was 2 days ago, which is odd. You know, and again, I think a lot of times people think the world is crazy, right? But like, if you look at the history of the world objectively, we've had a lot crazier times than we're seeing now. Right? Like, the difference is like in the 90s and 80s and 70s and 60s and 50s and 40s and 30s and 20s and the 19s, the early 1900s or pre-World War One. Things were much crazier than they are now. You had crazy like wars and dictators and all this stuff going on. We just didn't have the technology that we have today to where we could see all of this stuff as soon as it happens. Right? And so nowadays we can see everything that goes on all across the world as soon as it happens. And so that makes things seem crazier now than they were back then, but they were much crazier back then. Much crazier. And I think anybody looking at history objectively recognizes that and understands that we're actually at a pretty stable part relative to a lot of other parts of history. So anyways, I'm in my mid-30s, Mark. What's up, Sam? Beach, Pond. Yeah. Sometimes people are just trying to disagree. But that's very true, Faded. Of course, I meant, like, you know, again, I wasn't talking about the stock market or I was talking about the stock market, but like, I'm trying to just take it into context. You know, I think that's pretty easy to do. Just take it into context. You know, an example of this is like, you have preppers. Here's an example, right? You got people that prep and like prep food and all this stuff, right? I would argue that a lot of them actually have confirmation bias towards something crazy happening so that they can use all their prepping stuff that they've built, use all their prepping knowledge, that because people don't want to waste time, you know, and if you spend your whole life prepping for something that doesn't ultimately happen, that wastes time, right? And so people don't want to feel like they're wasting time, and so they want to believe that things are going to get crazy soon, right? It's just confirmation bias. And I don't know. Maybe this is confirmation bias for me because I don't want that crazy stuff to happen. Like I like my life, you know. But crazy things can and do happen. We'll see what happens. Loading up on shorts today. Yeah, truth is like poetry, and most people hate poetry. That was heard at a bar. That's a Big Short quote. It was heard at a bar. Stefan, please stop spamming, bro. Yeah, I'm not judging you if you're a prepper, Sass. It's all good, brother. Like I said, I understand, like, preparing for stuff, you know. And I'm okay with having, like, a base amount of, like, supplies in case anything crazy happens. I think that's fine. That's normal, you know. As long as you're not, like, getting mad at other people who say they don't want crazy stuff to happen. Some of them just go overboard, you know. Yeah, for sure. Stock market survived World War I, II, and Cold War. Will survive interest rate debacle. Yeah, we're not even in a super bad spot right now. Yeah, so I've got this guy, right? This guy I grew up with. And I feel like he's probably one of the trolls, right? And this guy was like always, if you look at how he behaved growing up, he was always narcissistic. Everybody knew it too. Like he would build your trust and then just betray you, right? Well, the ironic thing is that, like, after I stopped hanging out with him, because basically everybody, like, he ostracized himself away from everybody, basically, you know, except for a couple people. But he always had, I mean, for lack of a better word, delusions of grandeur, where he thought he was going to do this great thing and he wanted everybody to just love him and, like, be famous or whatever it was. And he can pretend he didn't, but, like, he did. Anyways, eventually he started to become, like, a Christian, right? Like, he turned religious, right? But it wasn't like, hey, let me shower people with love. It was like what you would imagine a narcissist would be, which is that I am the greatest guy ever. I know the best. I know all of the, like, you know what I mean? Like, I know more than everybody else. I am the chosen one. Like, what cults ultimately end up turning into, you know? And I would be surprised if he didn't start one, right? But again, he was always that guy that would get really insecure if other people did well. And, like, he would just kind of lash out, right? And so I'm about 70% sure that the trolls are him. One of the trolls, at least, are him. Like, he has that type of personality where, you know, just deep insecurity, but also probably a little narcissistic, you know. So what I'm saying is cheers to him, you know. Top 3 cult leaders in the world right now. And, anyways, and the reason I say this is this, right? So the reason I say this is that I said the same thing a couple months ago, and then out of nowhere, he bans me on social media, right? Like, I hadn't talked to this dude in freaking years, really. Out of nowhere, boom, bans me from social media, you know? And so you got to wonder what triggered that if he's not one of them, you know? Because that just doesn't make sense. And again, I'm not the most religious guy, but I also respect people's religious choices, and I believe there's some good that comes from all of it, you know? Creed. Honestly, my family's a big Office watcher. But yeah, markets are up huge, guys. Markets are big. The question, I guess, the only question we could ask today is, does the market start to pull back a little bit? Does the market start to turn a little bit? We're up huge, chat. And I'm going to do a poll. I'm also going to...
I think, no, wait. We have...
Yeah, that old mic did sound bad. I'm going to do a poll. Well, no. So some of the things he said, Sam, right, are personal things about me as well, right? And so, anyways, it's hard to explain, but yeah. Anyways, hold on. So we're gonna do a poll here. The poll is gonna say, does the market correct downward after this week's big bullish action? Does the market correct downward after this week's big bullish action? Let me know. Yes or no, vote on the poll. Hey, what's up, Elvin? I'm not really going to speak on other YouTubers, Mark. Mark says, what are your thoughts on this person, finance YouTuber? I'm not really going to speak on other YouTubers, bro. I don't really know them very well, or I try to stay drama-free. You know, you got some people that build their channel based off of, like, trashing others. And I think, like, for people outside of it to understand, YouTube can be very competitive in that way, right? Like, it's very easy to dislike somebody just because they're your competitor on YouTube, you know? And so I try to stay away from all that stuff. If I critique something other YouTubers or channels do, I'm almost never mentioning names. I'm almost always keeping it vague and generalized because I'm not trying to get involved in drama. When you put yourself out there publicly like this, drama can ensue, and like it's just not something. It's not fun to deal with. It's stressful sometimes, and so I try to avoid it if I can. Anyways, do you guys think the market corrects back down some? I think we are strong, but may face minor corrections next week. You don't think the correction that we had last week is it? I'm looking at our polls here. So 61%, 60% say yes, we do correct. You would expect a correction day at the end of the week like this, but that's when you get you. But that's when they get you. Yeah, I'm not sure, Mo. We'll see, brother. I hope we don't correct, of course. Like, I want us to keep going up, but... market will do what it has to do. Past couple rips, consolidate and rip. Yeah. I've got that 110th Street song stuck in my head. People acted like I could only talk about stocks here. Like if I say anything else outside of stocks, then I am just, you know. Yeah, again, that's all good. I don't know. I don't really know him, Ty, but you know, if he's good, great. Did Rosie do that to your eye? No, I was rolling with a spazzy white belt yesterday, and got kicked in the face accidentally. So now I got a big old shiner. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. Honestly, it burns. My wife is like, put some arnicle on it, and I'm like, okay. And I put some arnicle on it, and it burns, you know. And she's like, oh, I thought it was just a bruise. And I was like, nope, it's cut open. You know. I'm a little tense about my NASDAQ short. Hey, good luck. It'd be cool if it goes sideways and then slowly climbs up. Yeah, I mean, we've already had this massive pullback. Like, here's the cue. We had this big dump, this big dip. Like, look at this big dump right here. We had this big pullback, and we've since rebounded all the way back up. So everybody's saying we were going to crash. It was the end of the world. They were wrong, at least so far. But yeah, time will tell. Is the yen carry trade drama over? We still don't know. Yeah, I need some aloe vera on it for sure. But no, the yen carry thing, you know, I think what ultimately qualmed a lot of those fears is that the Fed, the Bank of Japan leader said that they were going to only do one rate hike and that they were going to be very dovish moving forward afterwards, right? So again, the yen trade drama ensued from the yen gave a lot of people cheap leverage. It gave them low interest rates and cheap leverage, and they used that leverage to buy U.S. assets like bonds and stocks and all these U.S. assets, right? Well, when the Bank of Japan came out, really hawkish, which means that they're pushing for high interest rates, means that everybody that invested in U.S. assets using the Japanese yen were in turn going to get less favorable conditions, less favorable leverage, interest. And so what happened is that when they pivoted to be more hawkish, when they raised rates in Japan, everybody panicked and sold and dumped their U.S. positions that they had bought with the leverage of the Japanese yen, and that caused the flash crash that we had on Monday. But like what ultimately helped us bounce back from all of that stuff is, again, the leader of the Bank of Japan in return said that he was then going to maintain a more dovish stance after that initial rate hike that they did, right? So basically, moving forward, he wasn't going to be as hawkish. He wasn't going to keep pushing for high interest rates. That it was just a one and done thing, and then they were going to go back to business as usual with a more dovish, low interest rate monetary policy, is essentially what he said. And that caused a lot of optimism to return and markets to bounce back. And now we're here where we are now after good CPI data, good jobless claims, retail sales data, good PPI data, lower or at expected numbers almost everywhere, and it looks like right now the economy's in an okay spot, at least per the last week of economic data. Now, it doesn't mean everything's perfect. I say this and people get upset. We still have very high prices from inflation, and that's not going away anytime soon, I think. But we're in a better spot than we were. Yeah, we have a aloe vera plant in my house, Lolo. So I'll probably just use that and break off a piece of the aloe vera leaf and put it on the cut. I started training because I was a big MMA fan and jiu-jitsu fan for years. And like I got to a point where I felt like a poser, to be honest. Right? Like I watched it for years. I watched UFC fights for years. And I knew a little bit of like boxing, and I did judo as a kid, right? But I would watch this stuff and I felt like a poser, And so eventually I was like, I have to train. Like I have to learn it myself or I'll feel like a poser. And so I did. I started, training, 3, 4, 5 times a week, and, now I know it. And so that's good. Still got a long way to go though, but yeah. I wouldn't say the pullback the other day was legit. It was one guy. Yeah, I mean, it was the head of the federal bank in Japan, So, I mean, it was relevant. What he said was relevant, and people are just basing their trades off of how cheap of leverage they think they're going to get. And so, definitely a overreaction, I would say, and then a big bounce back. But yeah, that's how the stock market is sometimes. Yeah, Google went up a lot yesterday. Google's all the way back to 163s, I mean, it's still down a little bit, but Google still had a really good year, good percentage movement. I think Google's still a little lower from the fears of what happened, the news that came out yesterday regarding, the DOJ stuff. Hey, good luck, CJ. When did I say the market would tank, Rick? I mean, I might have. I don't know. Again, I'm top 3 worst trader of all time. I'm sure I did. I did get the inflation data correct yesterday, though. And, the last real prediction that I made, though, regarding what the market would do was here. And I was right. I said I thought we'd get a red day here. I don't think I've really made any predictions in the market like that since then. I thought we'd get choppiness, I think, and then the market ended up bouncing back. But again, like we've had economic data, so I haven't really, like usually with economic data, I don't predict a lot of stuff future-wise with economic data. Warren Buffett sold a lot of U.S. equities and bought up all because he thought they would be committed to being hawkish. Well, he lost a bunch of money. Hey, thanks, CJ. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, man. Yeah, I'm teaching my son some stuff too. You know, like I want to teach my son judo, and I want my son to learn judo, but I would rather there not be a gi, right? Like I want my son to learn no gi judo, right? Because I think that's the most effective. Like you know, instead of getting collar grips, you get an overhook and a wrist grip and do a hip throw, right? Like that's incredibly useful. But with the gi, I don't know. Like I don't want him to spend his whole time. I think I like training both gi and no gi, and I do train both gi and no gi. I like no gi much more though. But especially in judo, I think a gi is unnecessary because of and when I roll against people who know judo, like we have this guy that he's like a training buddy of mine. His name's JB. He's a black belt in judo. But when we roll no gi, you know, he's not really about to beat me at all, you know. So it's like, I think they should. I think something that would be cool is if they started doing more no gi judo stuff, because I think that's incredibly useful. But with a gi, unless the guy's wearing a freaking suit, you know, if they're wearing a business suit, I guess that could swap out for a gi. But outside of that, it's gonna be a lot of stuff's gonna be moot. Anyways, Tesla moving up. Tesla was down under 200. It kind of sat there for a while, you know. It sat there under 200s for a minute. Hey. Hey, will you bring me something for this eye? Yeah, it hurt. No, I want something that'll disinfect it. I don't want it to get infected. Even if it burns a little bit, that's okay. Thank you, baby. Yeah, you probably beat me up on judo. Oh, you know. Oh, all good, CJ. Sorry. I think there'll be a dip at 9:30. After that, the dip will be bought up and the markets will go back. Maybe. I get a great return. What is SMFG? It's antibiotics. All right, yeah, give me that. I just need a little bit. That's good. Thank you.
And then this is arnica for the.
Here, don't put arnica on it. Arnica burned yesterday, and it's an open cut, right? So it's not gonna. So the arnica is just gonna burn, and there's no.
It's gonna help with the bruising. It's gonna help get the bruise and the swelling down.
Should I mix this and arnica though?
Yeah, it's fine.
All right, we'll put it here. It burns.
Don't put it directly on the cut. Put it next to it. Like, don't put it directly on the cut.
Here, I'm just gonna put it on there. There we go. I think it closed up a little bit from yesterday.
You got a little bit.
All right, thank you.
Love
Love
you.
you. Thank you. All right. Supermicro semiconductors is kind of risky. It's just low float. And so it's high risk, high reward. Although it did bounce back, I'm just looking at it now. With the rest of microchips, it bounced back a pretty big percentage. But that's my point. So like an example of this is Supermicro Semiconductors is up like 25%. Wait. No, not quite 25%. Sorry. It's up like 20% in the last day. You know, like that's a lot. You know, it's a big move. And the volatility is big. Supermicro Semiconductors is down 50% since March of this year. 50% decrease since March. That's a very big drop. Like that would be like if Nvidia fell to $70 a share and stayed there, you know. And so it was even down over 50%. And so it's just high risk, high reward. If it bounces back, it'll be a really high percentage returner. But if it doesn't, it's big risk, right? Yeah, that's definitely not my wife. It's just I live in my mom's basement, and that's my mom, you know. Of course it's my wife, you know. Why do we think the market will downtrend today? Who said it's going to downtrend? I don't know what the market's going to do. I typically tend to, like, I will say I think the market's going to drop today. Okay, I might be wrong. I think the market's going to drop because it's up a lot yesterday, and generally the market tries to be balanced. What do I mean by that? I mean like if the market goes up like this, a lot of the time it's going to move like this at least, and then maybe it goes back up, maybe it continues down, but just in general balance, whenever we move up as much as we have at least a small pullback, and I think that's what we're going to get today. We also might just get choppy today. Today's a Friday, so we might just get like movement like this today because it is a Friday, and so there's that aspect of it too. Yeah, one of the top 3 wives in the world. One of my top 3 wives ever in the world right now. Shout out to Carol. Carol's got her own emoji too. Check it out. Yeah, she's a good wife, man. Yeah, she's a good wife. People try to act like her and I have like problems or whatever, but like, dude, her and I have been together for 14 years, basically. Been married for over a decade, like, you know. Right. Like, a lot of the time we're going to pull back at least a little bit. So basically, so somebody said my poll references me thinking the market's going to come down. My poll was just asking, do you think the market corrects downward after this week's big bullish action, right? Like, does the market pull back a little bit today is essentially what the poll was saying. Essentially, does the market go up or down? Supposedly, early samples of Intel's Aero CPU tested really well. If that's so, then maybe Intel will be a good dip buy. I'm not sure. Day trading probably is more dangerous, CJ. I don't know, fighting, like, MMA is not incredibly dangerous as a sport, right? A lot of people compare MMA and they say it's more brutal than boxing, and it's definitely not, right? If you think about boxing, right? Boxing, you get KO'd, you get a concussion, and they stand you back up and count to 10, and if you can keep fighting, you get KO'd again, you get, boom, another concussion. You get back up. If you can count to 10, if you can get up before they count to 10, they'll let you go again sometimes, right? So you're getting multiple concussions over and over and over again. MMA, you get hit, you get knocked down, you get knocked out. That's it. It's over. You know, you don't have to keep facing that over and over again. It's a much safer sport, believe it or not. It just looks worse. But yeah. Problems might start if you start losing money. Yeah, day trading is probably more dangerous. And day trading is marketed a lot as some type of like financial security measure. And it can be good and bad for those reasons. But day trading, almost all people are going to lose. And so if you're struggling financially, you should not be day trading, you know, not with a big account risking thousands of dollars. You know, again, that's just justified gambling. If you're struggling financially, day trading is the worst thing you could do. You know, day trading, if you want to learn to day trade, you should do so if you have another income source and you're financially comfortable, because that's when it's going to take years usually to be profitable, if not ever. And so it's something that you just want to take your time with and learn and not have any pressure. Pressure kills profits and, you know, objectivity. You're not going to be objective if you have pressure to make money. So if you got to pay your rent, you're going to start seeing patterns everywhere. But you got to be objective and understand most people lose, and it's just a slippery slope. You got to take it slow. I actually like swing trading much more. Swing trading is much easier to me. Because I think I think there's a lot more edge. There's a lot more easily identifiable edge in swing trading. You know, like day trading can be very random, and I day trade every day. I love day trading. But swing trading is a little bit easier because I think you can identify edge, like I said, in an easier way. And the reason I think that is because, like, swing trading, you'll have big pullbacks, and if you're smart enough with the pullbacks, if you can find healthy companies that are overreacted to, you can buy those dips. If you can find weak companies that are overreacted to on the upside, you can short the tops, right? And these can be dangerous, so I'm not recommending you do any of it. But I think you could just find some edge easier in swing trading. As well as, like, you don't need as big of an account to do it either, right? So a lot of people, there's not as much forced big money floating around in swing trading. So you can scale easier and scale and scale and scale and scale. Much easier than day trading. You know, day trading, you got to have 25K if you want to do it in stocks, right? You can do funded account programs in futures, and those are great. But you just got to risk a lot more money a lot sooner in day trading if you want to be able to do it or learn it, you know. So it's there's pros and cons for sure. Day trading, I would say, has a bigger ceiling though. Like, you can make more money if you get really good at day trading, but pros and cons. I don't know about social media signals. I think there's some signals that are good. I think everybody and their grandmother is trying to put out signals, and I think there's just a lot of people who, I think what happens is that people will put out signals, and they want to build credibility. So they'll put out signals, and they will say they'll put out 5 calls, right? They'll say, hey, this is going to do this, this is going to do this, and only one of them happens, right? Their 5 calls, only one of them works. So really, they've got about a 20% accuracy rate, you know, but they're just not even going to mention the other 4, and they're just going to hyper focus on the one that did work, and they're going to say, look how great I am. I called ABC stock way down here. You know, look at me. I'm just the greatest investor, trader, signal giver ever, right? But really, they're 20% accurate, and they were wrong 4 out of 5 of their calls, but they're just not going to mention the other 4, you know, and this is very, very common on social media, and this is how people get really wrapped up. It can be very persuasive. You can get talked into this really easily by following somebody, and then they start selling those signals, and so they have even more of a reason to be dishonest about it, and that just kind of snowballs and gets worse. You know, that's very common in trading and stocks, and markets in general, really, and crypto as well, for sure. What would you do if you had 50 million? If I had 50 million, I would probably take about 60% of it. So, you know, if I had 50 million, I would take, like I said, about, I don't know, I would take anywhere between like 40 to 60% of it, you know. So I would take 30 million, and I would take about 30 million, and I would take 15 of that, and I would buy treasury bonds or find some type of easy 5% returning asset, right? Whether it's treasury bonds, whether it's ETFs that pay me dividends, you know, whether it's something that's guaranteed, right? Something that's no risk, 0 risk, that's guaranteed, you know. Because again, like if I take 15 million, sorry guys, hold on. If I take 15 million, and sorry, I gotta reset my music. If I take 15 million and I get 5% annualized on it, right? I'm gonna make $750,000 a year just off of that, like just off of that 15 million in treasury bonds, right? So I'm gonna make $750K a year just off of interest on those treasury bonds, and I could probably buy like a 10-year treasury bond, and then at the end of that 10 years, I'm gonna get my 15 million back. So I'm gonna live off of that 750 million or 750K. I'm going to take the other 15 million of that 60%, and I'm going to I'll probably invest it in like a mix of like the NASDAQ, the Dow, maybe a little bit of crypto, and this will be like my equities portfolio, right? Where like the NASDAQ, the Dow, maybe select some individual dividend paying stocks and try to get like a good portfolio with the other 15 million and hope I can get about 10% at least from it, right? So in that regard, let's say it's 10%, so 15 times 1.1. So first year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year, sixth year, seventh year, eighth year, ninth year, 10th year. So in 10 years, that 15 million should turn into about 40, you know, and that's not even including the $750,000 that I'm getting in interest payments from my treasury bonds or whatever I decide to put it in. And so that's going to be about 30 million out of 50. Right, then I'm gonna have another 20 million. I'll probably just live. I put a little bit, maybe 5 million in crypto, and maybe some other, a little bit more, I would say, riskier assets, less guaranteed. Buy some gold for sure. I'd buy some gold in crypto, and then I'd live off the other 10. You know, maybe buy some cool stuff with the other 10, and that's probably what I would do. What would you do, guys? But that's how you protect your money long term, but you also get to spend some of it and live well. I'd buy some real estate with it for sure. I think I forgot about real estate, so I'd probably take at least $5 million plus and just buy real estate with it. Put some rental properties on the market, maybe commercial, maybe buy like an apartment complex or something. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even need to start a business. Absolutely nothing. If I had 50 mil, I would do nothing. Yeah, that's a quote from Office Space, right? Great movie. Yeah. Great movie. I've watched it probably 50 times. Maybe not 50. I probably watched it probably like 15, 20 times. Swing trade, never heard that term? You've never heard of swing trading? So swing trading just means you're holding overnight plus. It's not quite investing. Swing trading is if I buy something and I hold it for a month, or I hold it for a week, or I hold it for a day. Anything overnight is swing trading up to investing, right? So I wouldn't really call a month-long, 2-month, 3-month-long trade an investment. I'd probably call it a swing trade. Investing is like 1, 2, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Hey, thank you, Raphael. I appreciate it. You watched Wolf of Wall Street? Yeah, I've seen Wolf of Wall Street. It's a good movie. The irony of that movie is hilarious. I think Margin Call is really good as well. You want another stock market movie, watch Margin Call. It's about a bunch of traders that deal with like a 2008-esque scenario. Really good movie. Don't forget, spouse takes 25 pre-tax. Yeah, but I mean, again, that's the portfolio that I mentioned would be my wife and I's portfolio, right? It's not like, again, Carol and I have been with each other for over a decade, married, and longer than that, just together. And so, it would be our portfolio. Yeah, it's funny, and I've said this 1,000 times, right? But The Wolf of Wall Street's hilarious because Leo talks about how Jordan Belfort and people like him are the worst people ever. He's just a horrible person, they say, right? They wish the world had less people like Jordan Belfort, Leonardo DiCaprio says, right? But then he goes and makes a movie that severely romanticizes Jordan Belfort, right? And again, the whole point of the movie is that greed is bad. But everybody doesn't see it like that, and young people are super influenced by The Wolf of Wall Street. The luxury in The Wolf of Wall Street is very addictive to them, And so the ironic part is that Leonardo DiCaprio wants less people like Belfort, but he creates a movie that romanticizes Belfort so much that at this point, that movie has inspired, I would say, thousands, if not more, Jordan Belfort clones. Like Stratton Oakmont is romanticized, and they idolize Belfort now. They've made Jordan Belfort more famous than he ever was. Way more famous than he ever was. Now he's out here, people are looking up to him more than he ever did. And so the movie backfired on everybody. The movie was supposed to say greed is bad, guys. Don't be greedy. Now Jordan Belfort's super famous. Everybody knows who he is, and a lot of people idolize him and look up to him. So it's just it's the irony there is hilarious. But yeah, I don't really look up to Jordan Belfort. I think I'm not against, I don't really, if he changed his ways from what he used to be, that's great. I'm not much of a salesman, believe it or not, right? Like I'm not looking down on salesmen at all. My personality type is less salesman-y, I had a job where I worked at Petco, handing out dog food coupons. I realized I wasn't a salesman at that job, because you give some people coupons and they're like, oh, thank you, and they're nice. You give other people coupons, and they look at you like you're the freaking plague. Like you know, like you're beneath them. Like half the time they don't even say anything to you. They just kind of scoff at you. You know, that's a brutal thing for a young person to deal with, you know. And so I realized I'm not a pressure salesman at that point in time. You know, that happens a couple times. I am like just losing any ambition I have towards handing out coupons. Never again. It might have been good for me, honestly. It might have been motivated me to be like, hey, never again will I have to do this. You know, never again will I, you know, do something like this. I will scoff at them next time. Catch Me If You Can is a great movie too. You know, yeah, I don't really trade options a ton. Options are good in some ways. If you don't have a lot of equity to trade, to buy shares, you can buy options. And sometimes options give you more bang for your buck in that way. But there's a lot of you have to have a lot of knowledge if you trade options. Like the Greeks are super nuanced, super complex, and if you don't understand them, you're going to get eaten alive in the options market, you know. So it's something that you got to just be smart with. Yeah, definitely top 3 ever in the world. Big Short's great. Big Short is a great movie. Big Short is what inspired me to trade stocks. Margin call never mentioned mortgage-backed securities. Yeah, for sure. But what they were mirroring is the 2008 financial disaster in margin call, right? Like they never were specific about it, but that's what they were. You know, again, this is what happened with margin call, right? Like margin call could have the people who made margin call could have gotten sued if they would have mentioned names and situations, because margin call essentially is a true story, right? It's not super true, but the premise of it is true, right? Like that's what happened in the fire sales of 2008. That's what started it. You know, the balance sheet that they had that turned really bad was the mortgage market in 2008. You know, so margin call, you know, if they would like mention like Lehman Brothers or some of the other big banks that were associated with the mortgage disaster, they could have gotten sued. And so they kept it very vague in margin call to not get sued by some of these big banks that were involved with all that stuff. Yeah, when I first got my real estate license, you know, they advertise like people who call like foreclosures and stuff like that, FSBOs, for sale by owners, online, and they try to like they try to talk them into listing with them as a real estate agent, right? So they'll give you this big database and you're supposed to call them, but those guys get freaking harassed, is what you realize. And so I realized very quickly, I don't have the nerve for that. You know, I'm not going to be able to call anybody and pressure them to do anything. And even my sales strategy here, right? Like my sales strategy here on this YouTube channel, like I sell stuff and I'm a salesman in my own way, but it's much less pressuring, much more like credibility backed is what I sell, like is how I sell stuff here, you know? Hey, what's up, Beach Bum? Yeah, y'all go check out Beach Bum's live stream on tomorrow and Sunday. Check them out. Gold. Did gold pull back heavily yesterday? I know it started to with the data that came out. Looks like gold had a green day. So gold all the way back up to 25.10s, and it's starting to spike up. Will it break highs today, guys? It could. Boiler Room's good as well. A little bit older, so it's harder to relate to it, in my opinion. But it's still a good movie. Great movie. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't understand this, but Boiler Room and The Wolf of Wall Street are about the same company. You know, so they're both about Jordan Belfort. Boiler Room was just more vague and less specific about it. But yeah, they're both about Stratton Oakmont or whatever the real company was behind it. Hey, thanks, Mike. I like Wall Street 2 a lot. Wall Street 1's okay. Wall Street 1's the better movie. Wall Street 2's more relatable. Yeah, so Austin Goolsby's supposed to speak today at 1:25 p.m. So a lot of people were talking about his quotes. He's supposed to go again today at 1 o'clock this morning, or this afternoon. So he's supposed to speak again. But yeah, look at gold flying up over here, chat. So gold making some moves here. Yeah, so look at gold right above me right here. Look at gold. Gold just broke highs again. It's up to 25.11 in gold futures, and gold is pumping up right now. Like, look at that. It's up to 25.12s, 25.14s. Hey, what's up, Big? Can you break down the news reports yesterday? So yesterday, retail sales came in higher than expected at 1% versus 0.4. I think it was 0.4, 0.6% was expected. They showed up at 1%. So stronger retail sales than expected. Jobless claims showed up lower than expected, so less people filing for unemployment week to week, stronger retail sales numbers, and so the market overall on those good economic reports, pumped up a lot, went up a lot yesterday. Gold's breaking highs. The SPY went up to 554 plus for a little bit. Nvidia over 120 at 123s now, just pumping up on that stronger economy data. Nvidia is actually still technically green on the day. So the previous closing price is right here, this light blue line. But, we're not talking about just today in pre-market. We're talking about yesterday mostly. Look at the big move in Nvidia yesterday. So Nvidia went from 117s all the way to 122s, 123s yesterday. So Nvidia is up a huge amount over the last day or two. And Nvidia is leading the market. All right, so my mic should be good now, right? Here, I'm going to switch out my headphones here, man. So, I have these AirPods, and they're AirPod 2s, or, the Pro AirPods, or the newer ones. And, they just don't work with the PC, man. They just don't work. I'm going to have to put in my old school AirPods because these actually work way better, way cleaner. They don't glitch as much. I know Apple and Microsoft beef or whatever, but frustrating. I can't use AirPods cleanly with my PC. I'm not telling you to buy gold right now. I think gold's up a lot, and so I'm not really one to buy gold in this type of situation. But everybody's different. Yeah, Kathy Woods sold Tesla at the bottom. Didn't she buy something recently also? Yeah. Yeah, gold's still pumping up 25.12s. Looking at our votes here, 60% says the market does correct downward after the big bull action this week. 39% say no. Hit the like button as well, guys, and hit the poll. We do have about 23 minutes left until we got some economic data coming out. We do have some. Yeah, we do have some economy data. I'm going to put it in sub-only mode as well, chat. So if you haven't already, subscribe. We appreciate it. All right, guys. So again, we do have Tesla coming all the way down to 213s. Well, Tesla bounced back today. You know, it's important because leading into October, we do have the robotaxi event. Do y'all think Tesla is going to accomplish the robotaxi stuff successfully here? Here's Tesla. Tesla at 213s, 214s. Tesla had a good day yesterday as well, if we put up a 5-minute chart. But still kind of flat and sideways. All right. Small correction is healthy. Yeah, I think we need to pull back a little bit. Palantir has a new contract with the government. Where's Palantir? I know it was moving up some. So yeah, Palantir at 31s here, chat. So 31s. Yeah, 87, 90 likes. Y'all can do better. We got over 500 people here. Hit the like button, guys. Do it now. Try it once. Might feel good. Across 110th Street. I got that song stuck in my head. I've got like there's a remix to it that's really nice. Tesla's still falling. These live streams are pretty helpful. Thank you, Damien. I appreciate it. Hey, thank you, Constantine. I can't tell about a single stock when the whole market moves like this. They are all just caught up in a big shift. Yeah, for sure. I mean, markets are just bouncing back, right? So the market moves in waves where we have like big red scary action from the yen carry trade. And then we have big rebounded back action on, you know, a mix of like good economy data, a more dovish Bank of Japan, a lot of stuff causing this big bounce back. And now we're kind of like this. So we'll see if we hold. Yeah, I've thought about filming some of my matches. I'm not good enough at it to really like try to be a jiu-jitsu YouTuber guy. There's some jiu-jitsu YouTubers. Jiu-jitsu is also, the niche of jiu-jitsu is also pretty small. And so the amount of time I would spend on it might not be worth it, you know. And the only way it would be worth it is if I was young and very good, and so I could grow a following and then get sponsorships for my jiu-jitsu skills, which I'm nowhere near as good, and I'm too old. And so, yeah, maybe I'll put up some sparring sessions in jiu-jitsu, but probably not. I don't want to spar with somebody and be like, hey, can I film this? You know? Yeah, we do have housing data today. We've got housing starts building permits at 8:30 in about 20 minutes. But it's not going to move markets like that. Nvidia did just turn, though, so Nvidia's starting to flush a little bit. Still red. Still green over the last 24 hours, though, but turning red in pre-market. I don't know if this is a mix of bad news or what. Next week, we do have the Jerome Powell Jackson Hole Symposium, as well as we have the Fed Minutes Report on Wednesday. Never too old. You're never too old, sure. But after you hit like 25, 30, you're too old to compete in jiu-jitsu, you know. Because they've got some young like monsters that'll just, you know. It's just not going to be worth it. Supermicro semiconductors. My top 3 moves. Like I said, I'm a spazzy white belt. My favorite move is a guillotine. I like the arm out guillotine. That's my favorite. But I also like arm bars from back mount. You know, so back mount, Kimura grip, throw the leg over, hit him with an arm bar. I like those too. What are your thoughts on the next correction? In particular, September is historically a pullback. You think rate cut changes back half or makes it worse? I don't know how the market's going to respond to rate cuts. It depends on how big of a rate cut. If it's a small cut, we might have a good reaction. We might have a bad reaction. I think that's more of a neutral expectation. If it's a big rate cut, I think it's going to scare a lot of people and freak a lot of people out. And a lot of people are going to in turn panic. And so it depends on the size of the rate cut that happens in September. I think we're going to cut rates. I think the inflation data looks good. And now a rate cut is almost, you know, is almost certain next month. Still, it's never definitive completely, and you always have to take a you always have to wait. We still have a lot of economic data showing up before the next decision, And so we still have PCE. We got another round of GDP data, which is going to be the first revision, which is a little bit more accurate GDP data. The first one we got that showed up at 2.8% is called the initial estimate. It's the least accurate, but one of the most volatile because it's the least accurate, right? So the second one that we're going to get is called the first revision. It's a more accurate form of GDP to look at. That drops before the next FOMC meeting. We also have PCE data, which is the Fed's preferred inflation metric. Before the next FOMC meeting. We got the Fed minutes report next Wednesday. We got Jerome Powell updating us on the economy next Friday. And so, yeah, we just got a lot of stuff to wait for before we can really predict what the rate cut is going to do or anything like that. How do you feel about calf slicers? I've only been put in one calf slicer, right? And it was by a guy, you know, usually you get like a no stripe white belt. If they ask you to roll, you usually are like, all right, well, this guy's about to get beat up, you know. And I was rolling with this kid, and I haven't seen him in a while, and I tapped him out like 3 or 4 times. And he throws a calf slicer on me, and I had never been put in one before, right? And my knee started to hurt, and so I immediately tapped. So all I could say is tap if you get put in a calf slicer that's tight, because it's not worth it not to tap. But so, no, I tapped to him. I told him, good job, you know. I caught him in one submission afterwards, like, and then I haven't seen him since then. But it was pretty solid. It was I wasn't expecting it. But, yeah, I've only been put in one once. I don't really know how to do calf slicers, and I'm too new of a jiu-jitsu practitioner to really feel comfortable throwing some of those really knee-torquing submissions on people. Anyways, NVIDIA dumping down here, guys. NVIDIA dumping down. It's at 122s. Now, this is basically the low of the day. This little candle wick is at the low. It was just moving down. So we've broken lows of the day for NVIDIA. Now we're bouncing back, and I think this is going to influence the whole market. And if you remember earlier, I told you guys I thought we did pull back a little bit today, just in balance terms. Do you guys remember me saying this like an hour ago? Just in general balance, we're up a lot, and I think it's reasonable to expect at least a dip like this today. But again, nobody freaking knows for sure. But this is something that I said earlier, which is that I think we're going to pull back a little bit today, most likely. Just it doesn't mean this might be enough, and maybe we bounce moving forward. But a lot of the time when we have big upward movements, profit taking starts to happen, and then people panic and start to sell more, and then eventually people get optimistic and they start buying it again, and the trend continues, right? Like, that's a very common psychological pattern in stocks. That's why you get the stair step. That's where the stair step comes from, you know. So we'll see if we get a pullback today. I think it's definitely possible. John, you always call the market correctly. I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not, because half the time when I'm praising myself, I'm being sarcastic. But I did call this correctly, you know. Top 3 pullback callers in the world right now. Tesla all the way down to 212s. Yeah, this is mostly profit taking. The Tesla robotaxi thing, it was supposed to be in August. So it was supposed to be this month. They ended up pushing it back. I think it's October. It might be September, but I think it's October. I'm not 100% sure. Kathy purchased $500,000 worth of PACB on the same day she spent $12 million on Tesla. It was Monday. Nice. I'm not a big fan of some of her trades, but I can respect the knowledge that Kathy has. You think Dreykus is in Izzy's head after that presser? I think Izzy's probably going to bang up Dreykus, personally. Dreykus has very weak striking. He's got a lot of power, but weak striking, right? Like, his striking is not super technical. It's mostly power driven. And he has the threat of a takedown, and so I think he ends up catching people who are worried he's going to take them down, right? But I think Izzy has very, very good takedown defense. Very, very good takedown defense. And I think Izzy's striking is much more technical than Dreykus's. So I think Izzy will probably piece him up a little bit. But we'll see. I'm not sure. You know, anything can happen. Kathy called her losses a strategy. Yeah, I mean, she buys up stocks that are a little too hyped up for me. I like buying up weakness, like strong stocks that are pulling back a lot. She likes buying up strong stocks that are up a lot. And so it's just a different strategy. But again, she's much bigger net worth than I do. So, what do I know? October 10th is the Robotaxi event. Got you. Thank you. What's your prediction today? So I said my prediction earlier. It's not really a prediction because I have no freaking idea what's going to happen. But again, I think we're up so much yesterday that a reasonable expectation just based off of extension is a pullback, maybe a small pullback. Maybe we pull back and bounce. Maybe we pull back and fall more. This is the same thing I said about an hour and a half ago before this big red action. It's the same concept, which is that we're up a lot over the last 24 hours. And generally speaking, just in terms of balance, a lot of the time we're going to pull back down some. But I don't know. I might be wrong. And we could certainly just rip up here and do whatever. Yeah, so always could be wrong for sure. I'd say your strategy works better. Kathy's fund is down across 5 years. Yeah. It's just my strategy is a better. It's hard to explain. It depends on. Kathy might be the big winner long term too. Right? So time heals a lot of wounds and stocks. And so if she holds these portfolios for 10, 15 years, like she's going to come out ahead most likely. Just short term, the entries are the suspect one for me. Like, okay, if a stock is up huge and has this crazy big percentage run, generally speaking, it's not the time to buy it up for me up here at the climax. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I like buying up big pullbacks afterwards because we could still be upward trending, but I'm getting in at the bottom of the range as opposed to the top, right? Instead of having to deal with years of downward action, I can have a much higher probability that we're going to continue going up and then, wait for another pullback and then average in and then, continue up and then wait for another pullback and average in long term. And I think that's a better, obviously if it turns out perfectly, which is never the case, it's better. But, again, anything could happen. Hey guys. All right, my fam's here. I'm going to talk to my fam for a little bit, guys. All right, guys. Sorry, I'm back. All right, I love you. Have a good day. All right, love you, buddy. Have a good day, man. Y'all have a good day, guys. Love you guys.
Hey, real quick. Do you need anything from the store for this weekend?
Here. Yeah, we need some milk. Get some chicken wings, like some.
They have them. Sometimes they don't have them really early.
Okay, we'll just get something.
Actually, I might go back.
Shh. All right, love you. Bye. All right, guys. Sorry. I took judo when I was younger, but at 6'2", I can barely walk. Or at 62, yeah. Judo's good. I think they need to do a more no-gi based judo teaching, right? Because again, a gi is good, but I think a gi is a little bit outdated, and this is coming from somebody that regularly trains in a gi. Unless your opponent is wearing a business suit, so you could collar tie him or whatever, or so you could do some collar stuff. The gi trading's not going to work for most situations, especially in judo, right? And so I think a much better is to learn no gi judo, which is much more powerful, I would argue. A little bit harder to do. There's less grips, but, you know. Anyways, NVIDIA's still flushing down, still breaking down here. Yeah, Chuck. Yeah, what's up? Is there a catalyst for the drop? I think we're just extended on the upside, guys. I told you guys this morning. I thought we'd be flat. I'm sorry, I thought we would pull back small this morning. And that's, I never say it's definitive, right? So I always kind of put it with a grain of salt and be like, hey, I think this is a possibility. You know, this could also happen, but I think this is a possibility. We're just up a lot. Like the last week, like we have essentially rebounded all the way back up to where we were, plus some in some stocks, versus the carry trade crash that we got last Monday. We basically bounced all the way back up for the last 2 weeks straight. And I think the extension on that move up is there. And I think a lot of people are going to start profit taking. And that's kind of what we're experiencing right now. The market's kind of moving with NVIDIA also. So like the market follows NVIDIA in this way. And NVIDIA is flushing down, kind of dragging the rest down with it. You told the story about hawk hunting. What do you mean hawk hunting? So there's a couple ways. So my dad would always catch the hawks, right? The way you catch them is you get like a wired cage, right? Like you build it. It's like you get like a cage, and you put like a rodent in there. You know, these were actually my pet hamsters growing up, to be honest, right? Like I have pet hamsters because the hamsters are always safe, right? Like they never, like this, the hamsters are, believe it or not, they're safe in this situation. You get a cage and you put nooses, like fishing string nooses, all around the cage, tied to the cage, right? And the cage is big enough to where if anything grabs the cage, it can't catch what's inside. It's not going to be able to get the rodent. And so you're in your car and you drive and you throw the cage down underneath a telephone pole or something where you see a hawk sitting in a tree or on a telephone pole, and you drive by it and you drop the cage right underneath it, right? And then you drive off, you know, and you sit from like a bunch of yards away and you look at your binoculars and you watch the hawk, right? Eventually the hawk will spot the rodent, try to fly down there and grab it, you know, and he'll grab the cage. When he pulls back, it ties him up and he can't get out, right? And then you go up to it and you take a foot long piece of blue jean leg, like you cut a foot long piece of a blue jean leg off and you wrap it around his wings to where it doesn't hurt the hawk, but it also can't flap its wings and get crazy, and then boom, you caught a hawk, right? And then you just train it. Training a hawk is basic conditioning, so it's very similar to training a dog, where you reward it for doing the right things. It's just positive reinforcement. And so eventually the hawk will listen, and you can whistle. And the hawk's not, you know, the hawk will just straight up listen to you. You can whistle. You can let the hawk fly into trees and just walk around. And the way you hunt with them is you kind of beat brush. Like you get like a stick and you kind of beat brush around. Eventually it'll scare out like rabbits, squirrels, snakes sometimes, and the hawk will spot it and zoom down and catch it and then fly it and bring it back to you, and then the hawk will eat whatever it catches. So it's not like that's how you hunt with a hawk and catch a hawk, or an eagle, you know, same concept. Anyways, we got 3 minutes left. Chat. We got import export prices. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We have housing starts and building permit data today. Housing starts and building permits. Yeah, so it depends on what kind of hawk, right? Like in Louisiana, red-tailed hawks are native to Louisiana. So you can catch a lot of red-tailed hawks, big hawks, right? Like big eagle-looking hawks. But my dad also hunted with like Harris hawks, which are smaller. You got to order those, you know. Kestrels are really fun. Like my dad would hunt with kestrels as well, which are little bitty hawks that can sit on your arm. Yeah, the hamster would survive though, you know. And so the hamster would live, you know. He was my pet hamster, you know. I feel bad for him in hindsight, but yeah. All right, guys, here we go. Yeah, we got Michigan consumer sentiment data later on this morning here too. But yeah, so housing starts expected at 1.34 mil. Building permits expected at 1.42 mil. So we had Canadian housing starts show up at 279K versus 245. So Canadian housing starts went up. All right, guys, here we go. We got a minute and a half left, Chad, a minute and a half. And I've showed this picture 1,000 times, but just to show you what a Harris Hawk looks like. Right, like this is a Harris Hawk right here. You know. So like this is a Harris Hawk. So a little bit smaller, not as cool as red tails, but still cool. Anyways, we got 1 minute, chat. 1 minute. Palantir is actually breaking down. Nvidia is bouncing, but broke lows again here. Again, housing starts and building permit data is not really going to move it. I would listen to Austin Goolsbee later on this morning, and maybe he's going to have some influence over markets. Yeah, go Tigers for sure. Yeah, they're all over Louisiana. Red-tailed hawks, they're very native to Louisiana. You can catch them. You'll see them a lot on telephone poles if you just drive by. You'll see them hanging out. Most people probably think they're eagles because red-tailed hawks are big enough to look like eagles. But yeah. You got to get a license to become a falconer. It's actually really in-depth. There's an apprenticeship system where you have to be an apprentice to a master falconer for years before you can become a falconer yourself, right? There's a lot of work behind it. Anyways, 15 seconds, guys. Again, this data is not really going to move markets, in my opinion, except for maybe real estate related stuff. But yeah, we'll cover it right now. And there's 8:30. Again, I don't think the market's going to really move from this. It moved a little bit. It's at 551. So housing starts showed up lower than expected. So did building permits. All of this stuff showed lower than expected data here. So lower than expected. We had building permits, housing starts both show up at about 1.4 million for building permits versus 1.43 expected. 1.23 billion for housing starts versus 1.34 expected. So lower than expected real estate data here. Market's coming down a little bit more from it, but I don't think it's gonna, you know. I don't hunt myself. I don't have my falconer's license, you know. My dad always wanted me to, and I go hunting with my dad still occasionally, whenever I visit him, you know. So we hunt occasionally, but not something I do here in Texas. You know, I would have to find a Texas falconer to, you know, do all that stuff. So Tesla is just breaking lows. Nvidia at 121s. SPY at 551s. Tesla at 212s. So again, a lot of red action today. Pullbacks from big bull action yesterday. So yeah, definitely bearish so far. Yeah, I do. I look like my dad for sure. Yeah, but it's interesting. Like when I was a kid, I had almost blonde hair when I was first born, you know. You know, I would look more like my dad. My dad got his eyebrows burned off in a fire. Not completely burned off. He still has eyebrows, right? But his eyebrows are a lot thinner than they used to be, you know. And I have like thick eyebrows, so I'd probably look more like him too in that situation. Crows are actually kind of beasts, man. Like, yeah, so a lot of bearish action coming in. We're at 121s, like lower real estate sales than expected, showing weakness in the real estate market. Less building permits, less housing starts. Markets are starting to flush down a little bit. They were flushing down prior to all this. Thank you, Slick. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, man. Yeah, Black Monday. Yeah, it was a spelling error. Obviously, I know how to spell Monday, but I felt like it could pass off as kind of trolly as well, kind of intentional. So I just let it sit there and let the spelling error stay. Crows are actually beastly, man. If you believe it or not, crows are mean. Like crows and hawks kind of have this everlasting beef with each other, you know. Anyways, Tesla's still flushing. I might start to buy, to believe it or not, like just in terms of trading here. If you haven't already, again, check out TopStep. TopStep funded account program in futures. They give you a demo. They test your skill with a demo account. If you pass the test, they fund you. If you don't, you only lose what you pay for it. The base one is only about $50. This is one of the most legit funded programs in the world. They have really favorable conditions. And so again, it's $49 a month if you use my link. You got to make $3K in profit on the base one without losing $2K first with 5 contracts max. If you do that, they fund you $50K, 90% split. They pay out millions, fund thousands of traders. Honestly, one of the most legit funded programs in the world. And this is a great way. Instead of risking thousands yourself, almost all day traders, as I said earlier, are going to lose. Doesn't matter what course you take, who your mentor is, what course you look at, like, you're probably going to lose your first few accounts day trading. And so you can either put up thousands of your own money and risk that and probably lose it, or you could try a funded account program like TopStep, one of the most legit in the world. Again, if you pass this, you get $50K in funding, 90% split, and once you build up some profit, you can fund your own account. And if you lose, you're out $50. It's not the end of the world. It's a much cheaper way to do it. And so again, if you want to check them out, here's the link. They are a sponsor. They pay me money. I'm biased because of that. But again, just genuinely a great way to learn how to day trade. In the futures market, you can day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, which are really looking a lot like NVIDIA. Here's the E-mini futures contract. You can see how similar it looks to NVIDIA right now. And so you can kind of day trade this stuff live. If you want to check it out, here's the link. Great way to help support your boy here in this channel. Although I am biased. They pay me money. Check them out. Yeah, crows are cool birds. Yeah, if you find an earlier picture of me as a kid, you might be surprised at how blonde my hair was. Right there. I thought I had one somewhere here. Yeah, the AI John, man. AI, so when AI headshots first came out, they produced these. Look how crazy they made me look. Like this looks nothing like me. Like my top lip is like gone, The hair is a little off too. And like this is AI John. It's kind of I showed this to my kids. They were freaked out by it. Like severely freaked out. So look at the markets bounce back. To put it into perspective, like that's what I actually look like, Mahogany John, that's right. The GOAT. Oh, here it is. Here's blonde hair John. Look, there's blonde hair John as a kid. Yeah, no, it was definitely off. Varda? What is it? Yeah, look at my shirt, man. Look at this. This is a 90s shirt if I've ever seen one. Look at that shirt. Looks like Rocco's Modern Life. Where's Apple at in all this? So Apple actually going red on the day too. Big green bounce back here. I almost bought the dip. I just didn't quite get in. But I thought about buying this dip here, remember, and just a little bit late on NVIDIA. Right, so we're cracking lows again and a lot of stuff here. All right, so we're actually scalping a little bit of this here. So you can see we're up about, we got 3 contracts left. Take a little bit off here. Looks like that first trade we actually lost a little bit. I'm gonna add some more to this. 3 contracts, 4 contracts. We got a little cushion that we can play with here. We're about flat on the day. There we go. All right, we took that off here. Swinging back and forth. We'll let the rest ride. Yeah, we do have Michigan's consumer sentiment data that we'll cover. I think that's probably pretty important stuff too. What's the yen symbol, guys, for Forex? I could probably look it up on TOS still. So I'm down in this trade. We're down about $10 right now. We're back to green actually. It bounced back a lot. I guess I'll show you guys this trade here. Flat now. 4 contracts. Flat. Try to be patient. Here we go, but there we go. All right, we're up about $50. I'm just gonna cut it. So $50 gains on our first trade here, buying this dip and catching this big bounce that we got and everything. JPY. Here it is. See, it doesn't actually show me it on TOS though. Okay, so I found, I'm trying to look up the futures. Like, I can pull it up, but it's hard to, okay. Yeah. Does anybody know a symbol? Okay. Anybody know a way I can look up the yen on TOS? Okay. Thanks, Sam. Thank you, Sam. That's it right here. So it's slash, just to put this in perspective, it's slash 6J for the futures contract of the yen. And the yen's up a lot today. So the yen's up. You can see the strength in it this morning. So this middle chart is the yen. Yeah, so the yen's still pumping up. I think strength in the yen makes there's going to be a good core. What's interesting though is that I would assume that there's going to be at least some type of positive correlation with the yen to equities, right? Because a stronger yen means cheap leverage. No? Yeah, so here's the flash crash that we got last Monday, or no. Last Monday was the 5th. I remember I was out of town. I was in Florida. Yeah, but see, this actually went up on the 5th. That doesn't make any sense. This must be inverse. Or I guess maybe the yen liked hawkish data. Yeah, weekly. Yeah, I think I have it backwards. A weak yen is what gives them cheap leverage, not a strong yen. So it's going to be inverse to equities. I think is what is how I should be looking at it. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it was. Sorry, guys. I had it backwards. So again, market's weak today, and the yen is strong today. You know, even though yesterday, whenever the market pumped, the yen fell. So yeah, that's the correlation. Right, 100%, Paul. Right, that's the correlation I should. So yeah, strong yen means that it's more expensive to get that leverage in the U.S. markets, and that's why a hawkish Bank of Japan last Monday caused a crash in these markets, is because it meant the yen would be stronger, and people would have to unload their cheap yen trades out of fear, and unload their equities positions, and that's what caused a little flash crash yesterday. And so again, or last week, and so again yesterday the yen dumped, signaling weaker yen, cheaper access to money, using it, and in return the stock market mostly pushed up, including like Nvidia and others. This is the best group of traders in here. Yeah, we got a bunch of good people here, man. Like, a lot of people try to hurt the credibility, but like, we've got a good group, and most people are genuinely supportive and just good. You know, we got a couple bad apples, but yeah. I try to be honest. I try to tell people the truth. I try to troll a little bit, and you know, I use a lot of sarcastic humor, and I think a lot of people who don't understand sarcasm a lot think I'm being serious, and so they think I'm like some narcissistic person who thinks he's the greatest at everything. But a lot of it is sarcasm, you know. And I said this earlier. There's actually a positive correlation between people who can understand and recognize sarcasm and intelligence, right? So, and I think being able to identify sarcasm is a sign of a healthy brain, believe it or not. So, top 3 healthiest brains in the world right now, chat. Definitely top 3. Truth is like poetry, and most people hate poetry, is a quote from The Big Short. Somebody said it earlier. Yeah, we should promote our Discord more. Yeah. Yeah, we're all top 3 ever in the world. Why would you watch a channel if you don't like the show? I think some people are just deeply insecure. Coming from one of the most top 3 insecure traders in the world right now. I think I think some people are just insecure, and you know, misery loves company, I guess, is the easiest way to put it. So like, if you're really insecure, you might want to make everybody else like miserable too. And so you kind of go from room to room being negative, you know, putting bad stuff out in the world. Again, you get what you put out there, though. You put out goodness, you get goodness. You put out badness, negativity, you're going to get it back. Hey, what's up, Johnny? When will AI recognize sarcasm? I don't know. Let's see if it does right now. Let's test it. Okay, honestly, AI did recognize sarcasm. Look at this. I said, am I the top 3 greatest sarcasm users in the world right now? I actually had an improper grammar. It would have been, am I one of the top 3 greatest sarcasm users in the world right now? And it responded in turn with sarcasm. It says, if there were a global ranking, I'd definitely say you'd be in the top 3, unless, of course, you were aiming for the #1 spot, in which case you'd probably be sitting comfortably at number 2, because irony loves company. So they responded in sarcasm. Shout out to ChatGPT. Interesting. All right, guys, where's gold at right now? So gold, we got the yen, we got a video. We're gonna put gold up here. Here's gold. Gold's getting close to lifetime highs. I think lifetime highs are 15 or 25.50 or 25.20s. So we're actually very close to lifetime highs on gold. I didn't realize we were that close. So 25.22 is the lifetime high for it. So this is the lifetime high right here. All right, let me mark this level so we can see it. This is the lifetime highs. So this is the lifetime highs for gold, and we're pumping close to it now. Yeah, AI knows too. They know. All right. What's the dollar index doing? Let me see. Dollar index is flat, believe it or not, on the day. So, you know, the dollar index ripped up a lot with a positive correlation with markets yesterday on the good retail sales data and lower unemployment filings than expected. So that made the dollar shoot up. It's kind of settled down a little bit though. This morning in pre-market, falling a little bit. It's definitely red on the day. Ash, where's gold going? As they are influenced by numerous factors, economic data, geopolitical events, and market sentiment. Given that today is Friday, and assuming no major unforeseen events occur over the weekend, here are some general factors. Any significant economic data, particularly from major economies like the U.S., can impact gold. If data suggests economic weakness or low rates, gold could rise. Any statement or hints from the Fed regarding interest rates or policy could influence it. If there's an indication that rates will remain low or be cut, gold could increase. Escalating geopolitical tensions such as conflicts or disputes tend to drive investors toward it. Gold is a safe haven. If stocks remain volatile and are experiencing a downturn, investors might flock to gold. So basically, they're saying they don't know. Gold, with that said, is about to break lifetime highs if it continues up. Gold is very close to lifetime highs. Very, very close. Nvidia short looks good. Well, Nvidia is definitely down today. ChatGPT just roasted me. Yeah. Stop preaching ChatGPT. Is somebody preaching it here? Are you talking to me? Because I never once said, you know, it's the greatest of all time ever. That's me. Gold is saving my account. Yeah, gold is up. Look, it's testing. It just tapped the lifetime high. Just tapped it. Let's see if it continues. It's trying. So there's University of Michigan consumer sentiment data at 10 a.m. today in about an hour. That is dropping today. That'll probably have the biggest influence over markets, over like housing starts and building permit data, which is relatively insignificant. But the Michigan consumer data is important, and it drops at 10 a.m. And so we'll cover that for sure live when it drops. Izzy versus Dreykus. I think Izzy's going to piece up Dreykus. Izzy, much better technical striking. Great takedown defense. And I think Dreykus is going to get pieced up by Izzy. I might be wrong, though. top 3 least right UFC predictors in the world right now. Honestly, people dislike AI. They don't see the benefit of it. AI, like, this is AI over the first few years. Over the next decade, AI is going to become so much more powerful than it is today, right? It's going to be the next gold rush of stocks and technology. And it already kind of has been. But if you imagine how good it's gotten in the last year, when you extrapolate that over like 15-year period, imagine what it's going to look like in a decade plus from now. It's going to be crazy, honestly. And again, you have to, evolution is necessary. One of the biggest things that the older population gets wrong is that they fear technology. Every generation does it. You know, a lot of baby boomers now feared the internet. You know, prior to that, you know, they feared, CDs and computers, right? Prior to that, they feared, when you zoom all the way back, they feared the automobile. Like, people who love carriages feared cars, right? Like, they always fear technology, but it's important to embrace it. And that's what young people do well. Gold just broke lifetime highs here, guys. It's up to 25.25. Gold just ripped over highs. Gold over lifetime highs. Gold up to 25.25. Just broke lifetime highs again. Gold breaking highs this morning, chat. Let's see if it continues. But yeah, older people fear technology, and that makes them miss out on opportunity, I think. And again, the things, like, the reason new generations are better is because, like, some people fear the internet, but my generation was raised on it. Some people fear, smartphones, right? My kids' generations were raised on it, and the same thing's going to happen now with AI. Some people now fear AI, but new generations are going to be raised on it. And so I don't think you can overlook it. Gold just broke lifetime highs again. Just pushed up to 25.26s here. Gold's moving. Breaking lifetime highs every candle here. Look. So up to 25.27s now for gold. Yeah, I think that's a very naive thought process. I had people in my chat room telling me that AI was a gimmick and that it would never work 2.5 years ago, right? And I think sometimes there's so many big egos floating around in markets. My response to them years and years ago, before this latest AI boom, was that they don't understand it. AI, they don't understand the benefits of it, which is that it's going to save time, it's going to save energy, it's going to exponentially increase production of technology, right? And that's good for everybody in tech. Programming is going to change drastically. Everything's going to change from it. And so it's certainly not a scam. It certainly has very clear utility. And that utility is only going to get better and better and better and better. Anyways, gold still a little bit of a pullback since it broke highs. Let's see if it holds. Yeah, for sure, Dan. I think, we did have, the internet was that big thing 24 years ago. But we still got one of the largest bear market reactions in history from it. We had a long-term bear market that lasted for years. We had one of the biggest crashes and corrections that we've seen in a long time. Even though the internet really was the big thing, in hindsight, obviously it's super influential over us now. And so at this point, we can also see a similar thing with AI. We can see. So just because AI is useful doesn't mean we're not going to crash. Right, but it also doesn't mean we're going to crash either. Time will tell. We'll see. I'm looking at gold futures, Justin. So you got, yeah. Anybody know if after the rate cut we'll potentially see a market correction? It's possible. Gold's testing the lifetime high again up here, chat. It's still moving up. And again, if you haven't already, check out Top Step's funded account program in futures. If you want to day trade with me, we did make a little bit of money already. You can day trade gold in futures on Top Step. They give you a demo. They test your skill with the demo. Great rules. Once you're funded, super favorable rules. Really easy to get funded as well if you know what you're doing, and a great way to learn how to day trade. Do not risk thousands of dollars of your own money learning to day trade. In the futures market, you can day trade the S&P, basically the SPY price action. You can day trade the NASDAQ, basically the QQQ price action. You can day trade gold futures, which just broke lifetime highs again. And there's no PDT rule. Most day traders, pro day traders, trade futures over stocks or anything else because better liquidity, no PDT rule, and these funded account programs are allowed that genuinely limit your risk. I can't guarantee anything. They're a sponsor affiliate of mine. They pay me money. I'm biased. But if you want to check them out, here's the link. Great way to help support your boy here in this channel. Check them out. Gold still breaking lifetime highs. Understand CFTC 4.41. I do trade off stream. I'm not even claiming to be a good trader. Still pumping up here, guys. We're at 25.30s for gold. 25.30s. Yeah, but what about all the jobs? Well, it's going to create jobs just like it's going to hurt jobs, you know? Yeah, it depends on how much of a cut we get in September. If it's 25, it's okay. If it's 50, it might cause panic, you know? So it depends on what the cut looks like. Powell is pretty cautious. He probably won't be too dovish. Yeah, I think he's gonna, I don't know. I think Powell's gonna cut. I think he's getting pressure to cut. I think he wants to cut. Gold dipping down a little bit too. Yeah, I'm not a big trader of overseas stocks. I just don't know them well enough. I try to trade what you know, and I think a lot of big investors in history have said the same thing. Like, invest in what you know, and I don't know overseas stocks like that. And I got to be objective and honest and humble myself to recognize I don't understand them like that, and I'm not going to try to invest in them like that, especially not overseas stocks. Powell's not speaking today. Powell speaks next Friday. At least I don't think he speaks today. We got durable good orders Tuesday. CB consumer confidence. Case Schiller Wednesday. All right. Yeah, today we got the Michigan consumer sentiment data dropping later. Gold broke lifetime highs, now had a big pullback here. Fed cuts when something is wrong. Yeah. But their job is not to cut only when something's wrong. It's to avoid something going wrong by cutting, right? So it's a they're trying to lead it, not react to weakness, if that makes sense, right? So I think that's what makes the most sense to me is that they're gonna do I hope they do a small. Well, if I was the Fed, I would probably not cut rates until like at least another meeting after this one coming up. But if I had to cut, I would only do 25. I would not do 50. 50 might spark a panic, and I think they need to be balanced and ease into. They shouldn't. Again, 50, 75 basis point cut will cause a freak out, you know. And of course, mortgages and auto loans and lenders in general and real estate agents want a cut to happen, but I think it's premature. I think we got to make sure inflation is under control. Look at Nvidia bounce all the way back up. What's your view on the Dow? I like the Dow. I mean, You know, the Dow is good. What's the Dow futures? Is it? It's YM. So the Dow is YM. I like the Dow. It's not my preference, but you know, it's okay. You know, I like I like the Dow. But I also like the Nasdaq, the S&P. Yeah, Nvidia's bouncing all the way back up to the volume weighted average price level here. Oliver, you just got to use my link, brother. So here's my link if you want to check it out. I don't have a discount code. It's just my link. So if you use my link and buy something up, I'll get credit for it. Nvidia is the GOAT. Well, Nvidia is leading the market, certainly. Again, the yen's still pushing up, which is interesting. But if we look at like the QQQ here, the Nasdaq. Dude, I'm kind of beat up today, bro. I realized, like, I've got a bruise on my left side. And I've got a black eye on my right side. Like, look at this. Like, look at that. Eesh. Look. Man. I got whacked. Like, that's a freaking heel to the eye right there, man. Yeah, I look tough. That's all I'm saying. I look tough. Fed artificially cut rates and artificially held them high, comparing what they're doing to normal economic conditions. I mean, what do you mean by artificial? Tomato. Oh, definitely it was done by a spazzy white belt. 100%, Eric. Definitely. I don't look tough. I am tough. That's all I'm saying. You know, but no, yeah, no. Again, I roll with a couple different people regularly, right? Some of them are better, some of them are worse than me. The one that did it was a newer white belt for sure. He's a good guy. He's like one of my main training buddies. So he's pretty solid. I think he'll be good too. Again, I told the story already. Like last week, maybe it was a couple weeks ago before I left for Florida. Him and I were rolling. It was Guy, and he hit a really slick submission on me. He kind of learned it. He saw me do it to him. I've done this to him about 10 times at least, where I pull guard, I get him in a triangle, or at least like I get the triangle set up there. I haven't locked in the ankle over the knee, under the knee yet, but I get him in a triangle. He tries to stack me to get out of it. Or you know, and then I armbar him in return. Well, he did that to me, right? So he pulled guard, caught me in a triangle setup, and then armbarred me, and I tapped, right? And I tapped way too late. It hurt my arm a little bit, to be honest. And it was the first time he had ever tapped me after rolling with me like dozens and dozens and dozens of times, right? And so he got super excited, like punched the ground, was like, yeah, you know. And everybody was happy for him. And then my coach actually gave him a stripe for it, right? So the coach actually gave him a stripe saying, hey, dude, you tapped John. Like, that's good. He gave him a stripe. And it was a cool moment. Like, it was a cool moment. It was like somebody that was, like, he finally caught me, you know, which was nice to see. I was super happy for him, to be honest. It was fun. My arm hurt, too. I tapped way too late. It was slick. But, yeah, that's the guy that yesterday kicked me in the eye. So, you know, it happens. I kind of laughed about it. I told him I look tough now, you know. Yeah. Manly face. Yeah, I think we should tax the wealthy, but I don't think we should tax them too much. It's going to discourage innovation. You know, like you got some people that are like, yeah, tax the wealthy. And it's like, well, yeah, we could tax them more, certainly, you know. But if we do it too much, it's going to stifle innovation. And I think that's very clear. It's very obvious. You know, there's like you hear some people that are like, oh, well, the workers are the ones building your business. And it's like kind of, but the business owner is taking the risks in that regard. Like the business owner is risking their time and money over everything. You know, and so I think we should reward risk takers in the economy. That's what grows the economy, you know, and I think I'm a capitalist. I think the world is a better place because of capitalism. You know, I think like all the other forms of government are nice and all, and they're idealistic, and that's great. But I think we have a very high standard of living here in the U.S. because of capitalism, you know, and I think we have to recognize that and value that. And so I, you know, and again, I'm for like free college. I think college should be free. If, you know, our tax money's wasted in a lot of ways, I'm okay with college being free. And that's kind of the standard the rest of the world sets too. So it's not like I'm purely, you know, big business and capitalistic, but I do believe capitalism gives us a high standard of living and over a lot of other forms for sure, you know. And if you don't believe that, you're not looking at it objectively. And I think if you trade stocks and you're not a capitalist, you're a massive hypocrite as well, you know. But, you know, again, I go by policy. Yeah, this is like my 5th black eye of the year. I have a $110,000 job. Should I quit to day trade my $500K portfolio? Probably not. $110,000 job, you want to quit that? Like, bro, I think it's risky, you know. I think that you are swapping out consistency for inconsistency, Jeremiah. It all depends on the trader. You're not going to be make 50, 60, 70% a year. And so you're going to probably, in day trading, you might make something similar to what you're making now. It's just less guaranteed, you know. So I wouldn't personally, but that's just me. Not an investment professional. Top 3 worst day trader of all time. I'm generally pro-union to an extent, you know, to an extent. What, my union comments? Some of these are getting into really slippery territory where it's going to be too controversial, so I'm just going to kind of avoid them. In the end, I'm very moderate. I'm very neutral politically. I'm a capitalist, but I also believe we should help people. I also believe the wealthy should pay their fair share of taxes, and so I'm pretty neutral middle ground. That's all I'm going to say. Anyways, back to stocks. We got 18 minutes before the market opens. 18 minutes. NVIDIA at 121.50s. Bounced all the way up from the big dip we faced earlier. Still down, though, in pre-market. You can see the previous closing price right here on NVIDIA. We are still decently below that. Same thing with the NASDAQ here. Gold still testing lifetime highs, but it has pulled back from its original high break level. Yeah, I think, you know, like I think other forms of like socialism, I think the problem, they're idealistic and that's great. But I think there's going to be corruption no matter what. You like regardless of what structure you have, there's corruption, right? It's inevitable. Humans are corrupt, right? But at least in capitalism, the people who eventually get power have to earn it over somebody that's just blindly given it, you know? A lot of the times, if they're just blindly giving it, and this has been shown throughout history, right? If they're blindly giving it, they don't respect it enough. Corruption happens even more than it would if they earn it, right? When they earn that power, they respect it a lot more, versus when they're just blindly giving it, you know? And so somebody's going to have power, and in turn, there's going to be corruption regardless. But at least with capitalism, they have to earn it to a certain extent. Right. And this is not universally true. Like, there's some people who don't earn it at all, but their family did. And so it's just kind of, you know, I don't know. In the end, I think there's always going to be corruption. It's inevitable, you know, and I think we should do our best to stop it, of course. But we also don't want to tax everybody so much to where it stifles, you know, growth. Gold is GC in futures, GC. Yeah, gold breaking lifetime highs. It's interesting. Why do you guys think gold is breaking lifetime highs today? Gold has been pumping up a lot. Yeah, politically, I'm neutral. Everything else, I'm neutral. And I'm going to avoid any other super controversial conversation here. And you guys know that. And what I will ask the chat is, please don't be super political, pushing for one side or one politician or anything like that. You know, let's keep it politics, like religion, free here, please. Thank you. Silver, very similar to gold in that regard. It's a precious metal. It pushes up. All right, guys. So again, we got consumer sentiment and inflation expectations. All right, so yeah, we got the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index. All right. Yeah, let's get this out the way. Get the pre-market thing out the way. We got the New York Open, chat. New York Open. Yeah, this is some old music that I got. Let me know what you guys think. Here we go. What happens to market? We're going down or up today. Well, we've dropped a lot this morning as kind of a correction to the big bull action that we had earlier. And so Yeah, Yair, you take your comment, your last 2 comments out of context, man. What do you mean? Can invest in things? Yeah, for sure. Emergency rate cuts? No, I don't think we're gonna emergency cut. I learned that the best way to trade is learn certain. Yeah, there's a lot of ways you could trade. It just depends on what edge you try to use, you know. All right, guys, the NASDAQ all the way up to almost 473s. Gold at 25.20s. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna rate. So Dan, what do you think is a rate hike? So genuine question, Dan. What do you think is a rate hike, brother? So it's not just going to be GC. It needs to be /GC. It's gold futures is what I'm looking at. I'm not sure if Webull has futures, but it would, like on TOS, it's /GC. Just like the E-mini, which is the S&P 500 futures, is /ES. The NASDAQ, which is the QQQ price action. It's the NASDAQ 100. NDX is /NQ. Yeah, but Dan, so what do you think is a rate hike, brother? So 25 basis points probably. So you think they're going to raise 25 basis points? Genuine question, dude. It's all good. Genuine question. You think they're going to raise 25 basis points? Yeah, so again, like Dan, and here's the thing about following people who don't really understand rate decisions, right? Like I know a lot of people come from like AMC or they come from day trading and they start acting like they don't understand what a rate hike is, okay? So think about what the word hike means. Hike means to raise, okay? A rate hike means that you are raising the federal funds rate, brother. And for whatever reason, you got a bunch of people who don't understand what the Federal Reserve does. They don't understand economics. They don't understand rate decisions. And I'm not talking about you, Dan. I'm really not. Like, you're probably just somebody who follows some people like this, right? But a lot of people don't understand rate decisions. They don't understand what a rate hike actually is. And they go around universally calling rate decisions rate hikes, and they're not. A rate hike is specifically raising the federal funds rate. It's raising interest rates, which we are absolutely not going to do. A rate cut and a rate hike are two completely opposite things. Cutting rates means lowering short-term interest rates. It's the federal funds rate. It's the rate that banks charge each other to lend money overnight. Raising rates is called a rate hike. It is raising the federal funds rate, a more restrictive, hawkish monetary policy stance. And again, this is the consequence of a bunch of people on YouTube streaming that don't understand rate decisions in general, right? They're just kind of piggybacking off of what they see other people get views with, but they don't really understand those things. And so my advice to anybody that follows somebody like this is to stop watching them, because they don't really understand what any of it means. They're just piggybacking off of what's popular, hoping to get more views from it. And so you got to understand what a rate hike and a rate cut actually is. And if you're following some big investor trader on YouTube that calls everything a rate hike, again, you're watching somebody that doesn't really understand Federal Reserve economics and policy. And again, so Dan, I'm not attacking you specifically, right? I don't think this is your fault. I think you probably just follow somebody that is like that. And again, I see a lot of people that do this, right? But again, a rate hike is a very specific thing, I gotta hike up my pants when I forget to wear a belt. Right, 100%, Yeah, I mean, Dan, all good, brother. Like I said, I think you're not. I think there's a lot of people on YouTube that call everything a hike. And again, that's how you know whether somebody. It's my measure of whether somebody knows Federal Reserve policy and economics. Is do they call everything a rate hike? Tesla, yeah, Tesla. Gold's starting to bounce back up, testing lifetime highs. Nvidia all the way down to 121s. Q at 472s. I didn't know this was a thing. Who calls everything a hike? Again, what happens is this. Here's what happened. You got people that cover AMC, GameStop, memes, right? And all these things, what happens is these things start to fizzle out a little bit. They start to lose interest. They start to lose volume. And so the videos that were once working for these guys are no longer working, right? And so then they start looking around at John from Beginner Trading and all these other people covering rate decisions. And a year and a half ago, I would title my streams Federal Reserve Rate Hike Decision. Because why? The Federal Reserve was raising rates a year and a half ago. They were raising federal funds. These were actual rate hikes, right? And so they start to think that everything is a rate hike. Right? When that's how we got to this point. And so they start covering Federal Reserve decisions, but they don't understand really what it is. They're just covering it to get views. And so they call everything a freaking rate hike. It's actually very common. I see a lot of people doing it. But gold is GC. It's gold futures is what I'm looking at. There's a lot of ways to look at gold, but gold futures are /GC. With all that said, rate hikes out the way. What will the market do with the opening bell, chat? Let me know in chat right now. What do you think the market's going to do in the first 45 minutes after the open? We got 2.5 minutes. Buy gold, ripping green, dump, pump. Go red, sideways, dump. It's Friday, so I think we do have a higher probability of choppy neutral activity. So at 10 a.m. we have University of Michigan consumer sentiment data. Consumer sentiment data might influence everything. Our boy getting spicy. Am I spicier today? I don't know. Again, I don't ever really mention names. I just think it's important for people to understand, like, if you're watching somebody, like, these are the same people that are telling you guys that anybody that understands economics in the Federal Reserve are going to understand that these percentages here are very accurate. At least if you look at this, like, right before the rate decision, anybody that understands economics in the Fed is going to understand that these are very accurate outcomes. Right now, it's probably not super accurate. You got to wait until like the day before, right before the outcome to gauge how accurate it's going to be. But what shows up 5 minutes before the rate decision is very accurate. It's been correct every single time for years. But whatever reason, you got some other people who make some wild, outlandish predictions for rate decisions, right? So these are the people that were telling you we were going to cut rates 4 months ago. You know, that we were going to cut rates a couple weeks ago, right? And again, I was sitting here telling you it was super improbable we were going to cut rates, but you got a lot of people that, again, don't really understand telling you that we were going to cut a couple weeks ago. And again, everybody that understands knows we weren't going to. Now, the next meeting is the one where we're probably going to cut, and it's important to understand, right? These are very predictable things. If you can find derivative contracts that are favorable, super predictable. Here's the opening bell, guys. We'll see what happens. Win Lambo. It's a rate hike decision, right? Like, they're deciding on whether they want to raise rates, but that's not happening, you know. It's also a rate cut decision in that regard. But like, it's always, you know, probabilities are always there. Like, you can say, hey, is John going to grow 20 feet today? You know, doesn't mean it's what's going to happen. Anyways, Tesla at 212s. Starting to bounce back at the opening bell. Most of the markets are down a little bit. Gold has pulled back since the open. The Q's consolidating sideways, but rebounding up short term. We're going to let the opening bell play out here and get ready to day trade. We built up a little bit of profit today, too. John, buy us all Lambos. What color Lambos? Why do you keep saying that you're the worst day trader? I mean, I'm the top 3 greatest of all time ever, and worst simultaneously, as well as the top 3 stock market YouTuber in the world right now. Maybe top 2.5, I would say. Yeah, so again, we've gotten purely chop at the opening bell. All right, we got this huge candle, man. I gotta shrink this a little bit if I can. There we go. I want to short this, to be honest, but Nvidia's looking kind of strong. And we're also less than 5 minutes after the opening bell. I'm going to short this now. Okay, I changed my mind. I'll tell you why. Is because Nvidia's running into a massive, like, resistance area. There we go. There we go. All right, so yeah, the reason Nvidia's hitting the 200 EMA, the previous closing price is above it as well. We're at the top of the range. I think that short looked obvious, but I'm out, and we're up about 100 on the day. But again, I'm gonna sit back and wait. We got about a minute and a half until the first 5 minutes is done. The Dow's pushing up some though. Tesla's shooting up to almost green on the day. And again, I think we'll probably go down today though. I might be wrong. I think the strength is here, and we've had strength over the last day. We had good inflation data, but I think we're extended on the upside a lot. But who knows, man? Maybe we go into a big bull market. I really don't know. Thoughts on Coinbase? Crypto strong. Yeah, it reminds people that I don't offset. Yeah, that's the main reason. Is that like, I tell people I'm not an expert. I tell people I'm not great. I tell people don't copy me, not an investment professional. I do trade off stream. You're not going to see all my trades. Like I'm not trying to be a guru out here. And I think that's why I originally started saying I'm not a great day trader, just because, if I tell people I suck and then they copy me, it's their fault, right? But then it kind of turned into like a running joke of the channel where I'm kind of like a trading brat almost in that regard, as like a joke. It's my on-screen persona in a way, I guess. But then you got some people who don't understand it and they're mad and they get upset. So it kind of causes some funny interactions. Tesla running up, guys. Look at Tesla. Tesla up to 215s. The pre-market high is at 216, so Tesla's getting up there. Yeah, I would say I've been promoted to top 2.25 personally, but some would say the top 2 and 1/15th. Grid trade is trading off the level 2. Or the time and sales, right? Yeah, we're gonna be on Top Step X pretty soon. All right, guys, the SPY up to 552s. SPY going green. I'm the top 1-ish, I would say, like top 1-ish traders in the world. Maybe like 1 3/4-ish, I would say, All right, so we did pull back. Again, I think we're gonna get bearish action today, personally, but I might be wrong. I just think we're up too much yesterday to continue another big bullish day, but we could have just rip up in everybody's face and shock people in markets. That's certainly possible too. Yeah. The DOM. I know in programming, the DOM in like JavaScript stands for the direct object model. Like referencing things through objects in programming. What does it mean in trading terms, the DOM? Top 3 to 4, maybe. Jiu-jitsu lessons, maybe, Guy and Van. Definitely not. Listen, I don't charge for anything, brother, and I really don't have time to do private lessons. Again, if I really wanted to, I would sell a course. And my house is very nice. I'm not bragging. I'm using this just to let people understand. I did not buy this house through the means of trading. And if I really wanted to be sleazy, I could use my house as some type of credibility booster thing, sell some sleazy course, and probably make millions of dollars doing it. But I would rather not, I'd rather just be honest with people and tell them I didn't buy this house through trading. I'm not going to charge people for courses or like lessons, and I'd rather just keep it easy, laid back. Anyways, markets are starting to run. Tesla up, broke highs again. Look at Tesla up to 216s almost. Oh, depth of market. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, the document object model is what I meant to say. Sorry. Tesla running up big. This is why I watch you. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I'm even like good ethically, like you know. But I try to be, you know. Palantir? Oh, sorry, y'all can't see Tesla. My bad. Hold on. There we go. All right, Tesla up to 216s. Look at Tesla up here. Where's gold at? Is gold moving up? We're up to over 2,500s. Yeah, I'm just kind of sitting tight here. Look at the market just run. Look at NVIDIA shoot up. Broke highs, broke the previous closing price. I might have been wrong. Again, I thought we would go down today, but like I said, I'm one of the top 3 worst ever predictors in the world right now. Maybe top 4 top predictors, though. We'll see what happens. I'm going to probably start shorting this. Risky short, but hey, we'll play with it. 4 contracts. Well, we covered, and then we immediately flushed up, so... I'll let it sit for a second, see if we retrace. Back to green. Took half off. There we go. All right, so we're up $100. Pretty good accuracy. I don't know if I've lost today. And then we ended up ripping right back up. Super risky trade here. There we go. I'll take it off though. There we go. All right, we're out. We're up about $140 on the day. My computer sounds like a rocket ship, so I gotta exit out of some of this stuff. Fed decisions, economic calendar. All right. Again, we got in 18 minutes. We got the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index report. What makes your channel so unique is that in the equities market, transparent honesty is not so popular. Right, 100%. It benefits me. Like, I'm here to make money, absolutely here to make money. And again, I think that's pretty obvious. I think that's normal as well. I think most people doing YouTube are here to grow a brand and make money. And I think that's okay. It's normal. If you guys were me, y'all would be doing this to make money too. And so... my way of making money is just a little bit different. I'd rather give everything away for free and make money on the back end of it with like sponsors and affiliates, and I think that's a better way, easier way, more ethical way too, you know. So consumer sentiment's important on the heels of all the stuff that's happened. This data drops in about 15 minutes. It's expected at 66.6. Uh-oh. Yeah, and it drops at 10 o'clock. So consumer sentiment data is expected at 10 a.m. We'll see what happens. It's, you know, I think right now the market wants a strong economy. At least that's how the market has reacted to the economic data we've had earlier this week. I think the market does want a stronger economy. And so, yeah, it's expected at 66.7 is what I'm showing here. 66.7 for consumer sentiment. And again, we did turn around here. I don't know if it's going to move the market, Raphael. I really don't know. Who's Benjamin? Somebody said, thank you, Benjamin. Is Benjamin like one of those spam bots? Like, hey, you know, I struggled to make money in the market until trading savant Benjamin helped me earn $3,687.39.5 yesterday. You know, I haven't seen a lot of them lately. I really haven't. I think YouTube did a good job of banning the Telegram spammers. So good job, YouTube. Shout out to them. They looks like they fixed it. Yeah, 200 EMA is powerful. I look at it a lot. Look at that Nvidia bounce right off of it. See, we're still below the previous closing price, and I think we're getting choppiness for... Oh, we're actually getting some bullish action on Nvidia. We're at the bottom of the range now, so the question is, do we break down or do we bounce at the bottom here? Oh, Franklin, the GOAT. You know. Hello? Hi. Yep. What? All right, guys. Sorry, wife called me. I'm gonna move to the top up here. There we go. Yeah. So far we're at the bottom of the range. While I was on the phone, you could see me buy that little dip. We bought the little dip. Sold the bounce, and now we're back down here. I'll probably buy this up again. Actually, 2 contracts. We're not gonna add any more to this though. There we go. There we go. And we're gonna cut that. All right, so we're up about 170 bucks. I don't know if we've lost today. Here, I want to see this. I wonder what I don't think we've lost day trading today. Let me check it once. Oh, we've lost once, but I think that was just a bad fill, right? So check out my stats today. So far, right? Like check this out. So here's my full stats. Pretty good day, right? So we have gotten into 18 total trades. 18 total trades. We've made money on 17 of them. And to be honest, I think that the one trade that we lost on was just a bad fill, in all honesty. I think the one trade that we lost on was just a bad fill. Aside from that, we have made money on every single trade. We have a 94.5% accuracy rate. Yeah. So pretty easy day to make money. Again, we've just been using balance, range, and, you know, predictability. But Tesla started to break highs. Let's go back to trading here. Nvidia moving up too. I thought I made money on every trade. Like I didn't think I had a losing trade. I don't feel like I did. I feel like the one I lost on was a bad fill. Top 3 worst day trader ever in the world right now. Tesla at 216s. We got 10 minutes, chat. 10 minutes. SPY bouncing up to 552s. Very choppy day. Maybe the whole market's waiting for Michigan data. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I'm ready for football season to start. When's the first LSU game? I think it's in Vegas this year. Yep. LSU versus USC, 6:30 on September 1st in Vegas. SPY up to 552.50s here, chat. 10 minutes left before consumer sentiment data. Market bounced all the way back up. You can see Nvidia over the previous close. You can see Tesla at 217s. So we're testing the top of the range. I'm gonna wait. I like the short move here. See, I said I'm gonna wait, and then I take the trade anyway. We're down. Let's move down a little bit. All right, so we're out. Another green trade. Again, it looks like I probably could have held it longer, and yeah, there it goes. There's it. Break it down. I'm kind of protective over my. I hate it. I hate it when I get like this. It's kind of OCD. Like with P&L this good, or with the accuracy rate this good today, even though I'm only up like $100 or $200, I'm kind of protective over that accuracy rate. I think it's important to be protective over your profits, but realistically, I don't care too much about $200 in profit or whatever. But my accuracy rate's about 95%. I'd love to keep that. Yeah, so you can see, for whatever reason, so here's my P&L strip. So the first trade, it said I lost 1050 on. Look at NVIDIA start to run, guys. So NVIDIA all the way up to 124s, basically. Every single trade since then, you can see kind of $5, $16, $9, $8, $12, $12, $16, $18, $4, $4, $8, 20, 10, 9, 15, 4, 11, 11. So look at NVIDIA run. All right, guys, we got 6.5 minutes left. About 5 minutes, actually. Or about 6 minutes. Definitely top 3 worst P&L ratios of all time ever in the world, for sure. Michigan consumer sentiment data coming out. Gold ripping up still. Tesla just broke a lifetime high, or not lifetime high, I'm sorry. Gold is breaking lifetime highs. So gold just broke lifetime highs. I mean, gold up to 25.38 for its new lifetime highs here. Tesla's been running a lot this morning also. Yeah, we got less than 5 minutes now until consumer sentiment data, less than 5. We have Michigan inflation expectations as well. They're expected at, last time they showed up at 2.9% for 1 year. 5 year was showed up at 3%. So we got consumer sentiment and inflation expectations data showing up pretty soon here, chat. We got 4 minutes left. Do y'all want a timer? I'll put a timer up just to give the people what they want here. All right, I'm gonna do this about 5 to 7 seconds earlier, just so that we can like be ready. But we got about 3.5 minutes here, chat. 3.5 until consumer sentiment data. Yeah, gold's flying up today, which is interesting. Yeah, I mean, so gold. If we look at the Dixie here, right? Like the dollar's down, but it's not in any like crazy bad spot. I would say, like here, if we put up the Dixie for a second here. And we look at a long-term chart. You know, like the Dixie has been flat really since late 2022. The dollar index has been very flat, right? And the dollar index causes a lot of like, especially during election years, you got to understand, you know, we've ripped up heavy in during the inflation spiking markets of 21 and 22. Right? And so people said the dollar's up so much, it's the end of the world. And I've said this 1,000 times, but I'll do it again. The dollar's up so much, it's the end of the world. And then the dollar started to fall. And so people also acted like that was the end of the world. They said the dollar's down, it's crashing, it's the end of the world. Right? And so now we've been flat, and people are saying that's, you know, like, I think in the end it's an election year, emotions are high, you know. So time will tell. We'll see what happens. We got inflation expectations, and the big one is consumer sentiment is expected at 66.7, drops in about 2 minutes. Can the data today make or break the market? I don't know how much it's going to influence. It might influence it at least a little bit, but to what scale, we don't know. Like I said, to what scale, we don't know. All right, guys, we got a minute and a half left. A minute and a half. We got over 600 people here. It's a pretty small release. It's a 2-star release, so it's not like CPI or PPI where we're gonna have thousands here. But we still got some people here watching, and we'll watch this. You know, y'all be safe. Chat numbers are coming soon. Market's been kind of bullish today. Not really bullish. It's been bullish a little bit from Nvidia spiking up, but kind of flat. We're right in the middle here. The previous close on Nvidia. Gold has been very strong today. If we look at like the QQQ, the Nasdaq is still down. The SPY is still down today, but they're getting closer, and maybe this data will help. We got about 30 seconds left, 40 seconds left, chat. So be ready here. I'm gonna put gold up to see what this data does to gold, and then instead of Nvidia, I'm gonna put like the SPY up here and see what happens in the broad markets from this report. All right, guys, it's expected at 66.7 for consumer sentiment. 66.7, chat. Again, if you haven't already, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I appreciate the love. Thanks so much. 10 seconds. Or really, we got about 15 seconds left. Again, I set the timer a little bit early. I'm going to pause this. About 10 seconds now. 7 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and here's the report. All right, guys, so Michigan consumer sentiment showed up higher than expected at 67.8 for consumer sentiment, higher than expected. Inflation expectations remain the same, although inflation expectations remain the same, 3% for 5-year, 2.9% for 1 year. Consumer expectations showed up at 72.1. But yeah, higher than expected consumer sentiment data, and the market did react to it. It did pop up on the SPY and the Nasdaq. We did bounce up on this data here. Again, higher than expected consumer sentiment data. We'll put this up on screen so you can see it. But again, 67.8 for data versus 66.7 I'm showing expected. Yeah. I'm showing 67.8, yeah, okay. All right, so here's the consumer sentiment data. Market did react, popped up a lot from this report. Look at the market moving up here, chat. And so again, very interesting. Maybe it'll calm recession fears. We'll see. Again, we're up about $200 today. You can see we are very high accuracy. We're up about 95% today in accuracy, which is very good, obviously. If you want to day trade with me, here's a list of my trades. If you want to day trade with me, check out TopStep, funded account program in futures. They give you a demo. We should be set up on TopStep X by Monday. But again, if you haven't already, check out TopStep. TopStep funded account program in futures. Great way to learn how to day trade with limited risk. Most day traders lose. And so they paid out over $40 million since 2020. Funded almost $50,000 accounts just in July alone. Takes 2 days to earn an account. They've been around for 12 plus years. They're one of the most legit in the world. They give you a demo. They test your skill with the demo. If you can pass the test, they fund you. If you fail the test, you only lose the monthly subscription, which is about $50. Very cheap. It's not the end of the world. One of the most legit, some of the most favorable rules in funding. And again, if you want to check it out, they are an affiliate of mine. They pay me money. I'm biased, of course, but a great way to learn how to day trade with limited risk. Most day traders lose. It's a lot cheaper to lose here than it is to risk your own thousands of dollars, and most day traders are going to lose thousands. So try it out in the futures market. You can day trade gold, which has been breaking lifetime highs. You can day trade the Nasdaq, basically the QQQ price action, the S&P, basically the SPY price action. No PDT rule. Great way to learn. Although again, they pay me money. You can check it out here. Great way to help support your boy here in this channel. I still like Apex. I have nothing against any of them. But yeah, if you want to check them out, there's the link. Great way to help support your boy here to this channel. Y'all have a great weekend. Guys, y'all have a safe and happy weekend. Y'all be safe in the market. Yeah, appreciate it, David. It's all good, brother. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I think they're both solid. If you want to check out the links, we appreciate the love. Thanks so much. And again, y'all be good this weekend. Next week, we got the Fed minutes report, and the big one next week, guys, Jackson Hole Symposium on Friday. We will stream the entire thing. We also have Austin Goolsby speaking later on today. I don't know how much he's going to move markets. We'll see. I love you all. Y'all have a great day, guys. Top 3 worst trader of all time leaving out. Y'all be good.